instead of me expressing what I needed to express in that moment, I left. I was like, let me get from around you because I've opened up to you on another level, and it's like this is in return of that. You didn't show up the way that I would have liked for you to show up. And in the process of that, I was livid. I was livid, and I was like, you know what? Let me get from around you. Let me just go. It's best if I just go. And I realized later on, after I had gotten home, I felt my chest just felt so heavy. Like it was so heavy. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do to release this feeling. And I was like, you know what? I know I need to call and say what I needed to say in the moment in which where I was heated and my words weren't coming out. My feelings, I was not expressing myself. I wasn't expressing what I was feeling. I was like, you know what? Let me call. I need to call this person and I need to have a conversation with this person and I need to tell them what it is that I am feeling. And within that conversation, I expressed myself and I let them know how I was feeling, what I wanted moving forward, and what was necessary to maintain the relationship that we have. And after that, I felt so much better. I felt so much better. And I realized that it wasn't my responsibility to force them to receive it or force them to move in the way in which I would have liked for them to move, but it was my responsibility to express myself and say what I was feeling and say what was on my mind, what was on my heart, And in doing so, I realized like, okay, you have to express yourself. You have to say what it is that you are feeling. Because if not, it's gonna be suppressed inside of the body. When I tell y'all, my chest felt so heavy. It felt like I was gonna have an attack, a heart attack. Like I felt like I could not breathe until I called that person and talked to that person and said what I needed to say without feeling any shame or any guilt. I said what I needed to say. And a lot of times you cannot move forward from things that have hurt you or things that have made you feel angry or made you feel any type of way without expressing yourself and saying how it made you feel. And it made me realize that it's not that a lot of things that we hold on to that has happened. I think it's more so we hold on to the energy of expressing ourselves when we needed to express ourselves. Because like I said, I realized that it wasn't my responsibility to make him understand what it was that I was feeling. I can't force him to understand what it was that I was feeling, but I can express myself to him what I was feeling. And either he received it or he didn't. After I say what I need to say, it's not up to me. It's no longer up to me. It's up to you to take that information and do what you will with it. But a lot of people have a hard time moving away from the past because there are a lot of things that have been left unsaid. There are a lot of things that they need to express that they don't express because it's like, and let me tell you, at one point I was that person where when someone would do something to me or when a situation would happen with another person and I felt some type of way about it, I wouldn't say anything. Like if somebody did me, treated me unfairly, treated me in a certain kind of way where I deemed it wasn't good, then I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't say how I felt. I wouldn't speak up for myself. I wouldn't speak up for my feelings. I wouldn't express myself. And in doing so, I would just be like, whatever. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go. And I'm going to remove myself from their energy. I'm going to remove myself from their life. Like, they no longer get access to me. But I wouldn't say anything. And I realized that that was doing me more harm than it was good. And now I speak up, I express myself. Even if that person isn't willing to meet me where I am or receive what it is that I'm telling to them or I'm giving to them, it's like, that's outside of my will. That's outside of what I can control. What I can control is me speaking up and saying what it is that I need to say. And in doing so, it helps me see where people should be placed. Because if I come to you about, if I come to you with a concern, and if I come to you with a concern, that means that I care about the relationship, that I care about where the relationship is going, right? But like I said, after I say what I need to say, it's out of my control. But here is where I have to decide, after I say what I say, how you move afterwards. If you just, how you move afterwards is going to determine whether I'm going to say, okay, this is something that is worth putting effort into, or this is something that is worth me cutting off access to me and my energy to. Like the saying, you can lead is it a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it? I think that's what it is. Cow to the hay, but you can't make them eat it. You can lead a person there, but you can't, it's out of your control. You can only control what's in your control. And I was telling someone the other day, your presence is the most, what word am I looking for? Your presence is the most valuable thing, most powerful thing that you have to offer to a person. Whether you know it or not, your presence is the most valuable and powerful thing that you have to offer to a person. Your presence alone, just your presence. When you are attuned with yourself, and you know who you are, and you know your worth, you know what energy you're bringing when you come, when you know your presence matters the most, and people will know that. People will know that because once you stop showing up, once they no longer have access to your presence, they will see the difference. They will see the difference. And I think I understood that. I came to a point where I understood that, and that's why I would just cut ties with, I would just be like, okay, that's not where I'm going. And then now it's more so where it's like I'm in the middle. Like I'm in the middle of, okay, yes, things have happened, but I now have boundaries to where I know how far to go with this person. And that may make some people even mad because they don't have the access to you that they want to you. But that's okay. That's okay. If that access isn't there, then that means that somewhere along the way, I expressed myself to you and you didn't take it serious, or you didn't respect my boundaries. You didn't hear and receive and respect what I was telling you. So therefore, there's a certain way that I have to move with you, or I won't move with you at all. And the removal of a lot of relationships from around me over the past few years have taught me a lot of things. And it has shed light on a lot of things. And I don't hate anyone. I love the fact that I was able to experience those relationships in order to build the character that needed to be built and gain the wisdom that needed to be gained. So I'm grateful for the relationships, all of the relationships that I've had throughout my life, because all relationships teach you something if you let it. All relationships teach you something if you let it. When you look at it from a perspective of, okay, when you look at yourself, when you say, okay, how did I move within and throughout this relationship, and moving forward, how do I want to continue to move that way, or how do I want to navigate through relationships now? Like, what are my boundaries? What are my absolutely nots? And then what are my yeses? Like, okay, what's my breaking point to the point of where, okay, I have to cut ties with you, or cut ties with a person or a place or a thing. I remember a few years back, I was dating this guy, and I was getting ready one evening to go out with some girlfriends of mine, and there was apparently a certain dress code that I was unaware of. So I put on my clothes, and I felt good. Like, I felt good in what it was that I had on. I had this brand new red silk top, I'll never forget. And I had these black pants, black jeans to go with it. And I remember getting dressed and feeling the way that I was feeling, like confidence up here, feeling really good. And I FaceTimed one of the girlfriends, and she was like, that's not the color that we're wearing. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was not aware that there was a dress code, that we had to dress a certain type of way, that we had to dress in a certain type of color. And she was like, yeah, all of us are wearing such and such color. And I was telling the guy that I was seeing at the time, what was going on. And I was like, I gotta change. I gotta change into a different color, because this isn't the color that everyone is wearing. And I remember him vividly telling me, you're gonna change? Like, what? Like, his expression was like, what? You're gonna change? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna change. And I remember him saying to me, those aren't your friends. And it took some time for me to gain that perspective that he had. It took some time. It took some time and some things happening in between in the relationships, for me to get the perspective that in which he had. And it's crazy, because I remember not feeling as confident, not feeling as good about what it was that I had on when I changed into the outfit that I changed into to match them. It took me out of my element. It took me out of that confidence. It took me out of myself. Because I'm like, and the thing is, I didn't want to change. I did not want to change, But I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this because I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to be a good friend. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to do this. But looking back, it's like I did not want to change. And me having to change to suit what it was that they had going on put me in a whole different headspace. It put me in a whole different energy. And looking back, I should have expressed myself. I should have said, you know what? I'm not changing. Like, that's not something I wasn't aware. Maybe if I would have been made aware prior to the outfit that I've already chosen, then, that would be what it is. But what I should have said was, I'm not going to change. I don't feel comfortable changing. I feel good with what it is that I have on, and I want to stay in this energy. I want to stay in this confidence that I have going on. Just looking back on a lot of things I should have spoken up about. I should have spoken how I felt about it instead of suppressing it. It does nobody any good when you don't know how to express yourself, when you don't know how to feel what you feel and release it without feeling the shame and the guilt behind the way that you feel. Because truth be told, feelings are there for a reason. Feelings expose a lot about us and about the people that we have relationships with, And once we let those feelings be known, those feelings and emotions be known, and we express it, then we get to see where we are in that relationship with that person, or if that person and that situation is worth carrying on and continuing. Like, don't get caught up. Don't lose your identity. Don't lose yourself in other people and what you have going on with other people. And I always say that's why it's so important to have your own thing going on. Know who you are, know what you like. And I didn't realize that until I actually removed myself from friend groups and from around people that wasn't allowing me space to see myself. I was so invested in other people and relationships with other people that I didn't have a relationship with myself. And once I removed myself from the environments and the circles and from the people that I was surrounded by, I gained a perspective of myself and what it is that I like, who it is that I am, where I'm going. Most importantly, where I'm going. I can remember just doing nothing every day, meeting up and just sitting around talking about other people's business, what they had going on, and just a whole bunch of nonsense, a whole bunch of stuff that didn't matter, a lot of stuff that didn't matter. And there was no purpose with that. There was no way. There was no sight. There was no guidance. There was no stability. There was no change, no evolution taking place. Everything was the same. Oh, well, of course there was evolution taking place, but it was only so much. It wasn't through my own will. It was more so things would happen that was out of my control, that I had no choice but to move on and navigate my way through. It wasn't so much of, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm removing, this is what I'm headed towards. It was never that. And now it's more so of, okay, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, this is who I'm allowing in my energy, this is who I'm trusting. And more so, more than anything, throughout all the experiences that I've been through and the relationships that I've been through, I've learned to trust myself more than anything. Trust the voice inside, trust the alignment, trust the attunement, and to march to the beat of my own drum. More than anything, I've learned to march to the beat of my own drum, and not what everybody else is doing, not what everybody else around me wants me to do, but more so of, okay, what is it that you truly want? I get to ask myself that without having the opinions of others, without having remarks from others. I get to ask myself that, and I get to move forward accordingly. And that's the best part about all the things that I've been through. Because throughout the processes, the end game is I found myself, and I found a different perspective of myself. Not the perspective that everybody around me had, or what I thought everybody around me needed me to be. Performance. That's what it was, performance. The performance was broken. The spells were broken. And you'll realize that once you walk away from certain environments, certain things, certain people, that the spell will be broken. The illusion will be lifted. And you will get a clear perspective of who you are, where you're going, what you're meant to do, all the things that you can do willingly. And you get in flow state. And flow state is a great place to be, because from flow state comes so much clarity and so much creativity and so much love, I would say. So much love. Love for who you are. Love for what's going on within. Love for what it is that you are creating, what it is that you are expressing. People tell stories. People tell stories through art, through everything. A story is being told. When there is art, a story is being told. A story is being told. An energy is being held.